Good evening. The time is 7 p.m. and I will now call this regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the next item on tonight's agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. I do have one change this evening. Our Finance Director, Tom Robinson, is here today if anyone has questions for Tom, but we don't have a monthly budget report today. It's the first of the month, and we just hadn't gotten any journal entries entered as of today, so it didn't really make sense to provide that a full report, but we will have that the first meeting in June. So other than that, that's my only change. So I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept it as your
I'll
change.
second.
Great. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on April 17th. Is everyone?
Make a motion, we approve those minutes?
Thank you,
Second.
John. Thank you. Sean? Okay. Any errors, changes, omissions on those? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of minutes from our special meeting on April 23rd.
I'll make a motion, we accept those.
I'll second it.
Okay, I got Sean and Mike over here. Any errors, changes, omissions on that?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up, we have communications and correspondence. I have a couple items to talk about this evening. And the first is some really positive news. So I found out very late, actually, I found out this morning that officially from the governor's office that Governor Lamont was coming to Portland. But I did get a heads up yesterday, which I did share with the selectmen, inviting them to attend. We had quite the event this morning. It was at 10 a.m. at Eric's Rubber Products Corporation on Indian Hill Avenue in Portland. And so what had happened was Eric's had applied and was one of 6 recipients to receive it's a very competitive grant that they received. And it was a $100,000 grant. And it also came with a matching component of $100,000 as well. So Eric's put in $100,000 and the state matched that with $100,000. And so what they are using this for, and I want to get this right because this is part of the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology, or CCAT. It's the AMAP 2 grant program. So we were not involved in this grant program, and Eric's took it upon themselves to apply. We're very happy that they were awarded this grant, and they are using the $200,000 to improve their operations. They plan to drive innovation with the purchase of 2 high-end 3D metal printers for advanced plastic printing capabilities. So it wasn't just them there today, but all 6 recipients were there.
We're in Portland.
We're in Portland, and they chose Eric's as the location to announce the awards, and so the governor was there and the chief manufacturing officer for the state. And I found out today we're the only state that has a chief manufacturing officer. So that was pretty neat to see, and certainly congratulations. I just want to congratulate Tushar Shah and Hital Shah, for those are the presidents and executive vice presidents of the company. And they are doing some great things. I got to talk with a lot of the employees over there today, and it's a really great company. And if the board ever wants to take a tour, I'm sure they would love to have us back over there. So I'm sorry it was such short notice that you weren't able to attend today, and I apologize for that. I think there was a little mix-up with the governor's office today. But aside from that, it was a really, really great event. Next up, I want to provide an update to the board on the situation at Job's Pond. I think it's really important to keep you all aware and informed of what has been going on since the last time I briefed you all, which was 2 weeks ago now. And so as you may recall, we've had a severe flooding situation at Job's Pond where the water continues to rise. The water has nowhere to go. There's no outlet for this water. So it really, with all the rain that we've had and the water table rising, it really it's just continually rising an inch a day for these residents. So Jim, I know when we were out there, and Bobby, when we were out there, if you go out there now, that pavilion is there's not too much pavilion left. And so it's becoming more and more dire for these residents. And so because of that, we've gotten some attention from our state and federal partners and representatives. So Senator Blumenthal came out last Wednesday, to tour Job's Pond, which was, I think, really great because, one, he promised to call the commissioner of the USDA to make sure that we were able to, we were on their radar for this emergency watershed protection program that we've applied for. And from what I've heard, that story on the news has been all over the country. Someone told me that relatives in, I think, Tucson, Arizona saw it on the news. So that's good. We're getting the word out about Job's Pond, about this terrible situation for the residents of Job's Pond right now. And so, as I mentioned, the town applied for this USDA Emergency Watershed Protection Program. It's through the NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And so since I applied for that, that was in early April, the team from NRCS has been out to Job's Pond. They went out. Initially, they did an initial site visit, and then they came back with a full team to look at all of the houses, to look at the damage.
That was the one on April 23rd?
Yeah, that was the one on April 23rd. So what they're doing is they are compiling a report that's going to go to headquarters in Washington. And that report, I just spoke with, I had a meeting with Jim Lyons, who's the gentleman I've been working with NRCS on Monday, and that report has been completed. They've really expedited this report. The only thing that they're waiting on is to get better estimates on pricing, on what the actual cost is, because what they need to do when they send this report to Washington, it's going to have the amount of money that they project this to cost. Just so you know, right now the estimate is somewhere between $1 and $2 million. And that would be to pump out Job's Pond. They have determined that pumping the pond is the best option. I can tell you that. They have determined the path that it would go. I have a map here of what that would look like. I can pass this around. This was shared with me on Monday. And so the town is going to have to reach out to some of these property owners and make sure that, should we be awarded this grant or these funds, that the easements are in place and that we're able to put this line down and get the line into the Connecticut River. And so that's something that we're working on. I'll pass this down so you can take a look at that. So you may recall that with this program, there's a 75-25% match. So $2 million, $1 to $2 million, the town, who is we are currently looking to be a sponsor, would someone, either the town or the state, not the federal government, would have to supply between $250,000 and $500,000 for the project in order to do this. And I don't have an answer right now on where those funds would come from. I can tell you, I did talk with Governor Lamont today. That was one of the things that I took full advantage of when he was here. And we were taking pictures, and I said, hey, while you're here, can I talk to you about Job's Pond for a little bit, which was really, I think that was really good, because he told me that he was going to be calling the commissioner of DEEP, Katie Dykes, today on this matter as well. And so just making sure that, and again, our state and federal partners have been really, really helpful on this. Representative Carpino has been out there personally. State Senator Needleman's office has been in routine communication and help on this. Congressman Larson's office has been helpful, as I mentioned. Senator Blumenthal and also Senator Murphy's office has all been helpful. They've all been working in coordination on this as well. I don't have an answer on funding yet, but I can tell you that we are lining up everything so that should the town and should this be approved by the Conservation Service, we'll have things in place to go on to the next step. Now, I don't have any answers on funding yet, but we're doing everything we can to line ourselves up to be in a position that we might be able to provide relief quickly for the residents. And so I wanted to make sure everyone was just aware of that. Just so you know, just some details on this. I did find out that the NRCS believes that they will secure, and they're going to coordinate with DEMIS as well, with the state. It's only one pump that they're looking at. It's a one pump, and it pumps 5,000 gallons per minute with a 12-inch diameter main. So that's what would be going into the pond and then going into the Connecticut River. And it's 5,000 gallons per minute. Now, back in 1984 when this happened, I think they had at least 3 pumps back then. So just to kind of shows you how technology has improved along the way. And it's a diesel pump. I'm told it will make some noise because it's a diesel pump. They have insulation around it to block the noise. And it would be, what I've been told is that from 10 feet away, it would have a noise of approximately 75 decibels. But, you know, that's, I think, if we can get all this and we can get, hopefully, the funding in place, I think that's a small price to pay for what's essentially becoming more and more of a crisis. More basements are flooding. Homeowners are losing their furnaces. They're losing their homes. And so it's a dire situation right now, and it just keeps getting, the water level continues to rise. So with that, I think that was everything that I had. Does anyone have any questions on this?
Are there going to be any plans about, you know, something in the future? Because they talked in 1984 about doing something and they never did anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one of the things that I talked in our meeting on Monday about with the USDA, was that the first step is to get this immediate relief for the residents of the pond. But the USDA Conservation Service is also committed to exploring mitigation options for the future so that this does not happen again. But I don't want this board in 40 years, who's ever on it, to have to go through this again, because, and it could be sooner than that. We know it's going to happen again. It's happened before, and so we're going to be looking at options for that once this part has been completed. So that report that I mentioned that is going to Washington, D.C., it has not been sent yet because they're still waiting to firm up those prices. I'm told they're working very hard on that, and I do want to thank the team at NRCS for all their hard work, because I know they're really moving, and so I'm excited to move this along and get this going and provide hopefully some relief to the residents of the pond. All right, so that's it, unless anybody has any other updates. All right, so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to comment tonight? Is there anyone online? Just checking. I don't see anyone. All right. If there's no public comment, we'll move on. As I mentioned, there's no monthly budget report this evening. We will pick that back up next month in June. We are almost near the end of the fiscal year. I guess Tom is here. If anybody has a question for Tom, he's available. But if not, we'll move on to, I believe we have several proclamations this evening. Looking at you, Sean.
Okay, yes, we have 3 proclamations. One for National Emergency Medical Services Week, which is May 19th through the 25th. National Police Week, May 12th through the 18th. And National Public Works Week, which is May 19th to the 25th. I would just like to make a note that we all appreciate everybody and all their hard work under each and every one of these divisions, EMS, the police, and the Public Works Department. Everyone related to any one of those divisions does a lot for this town, and I think everyone on this board and the residents of Portland recognize that they are an asset to this town.
So are you looking?
I'm going to waive the readings.
Okay, did you move the proclamations?
I'll move the proclamations and waive the readings.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you both. I'll just call for discussion. I'll just say, obviously, I know we do these proclamations every year, and every year we talk about why they're always so close together. They're all such critical components of our town, and we appreciate greatly each and every one of them. And I wish they would do it in a way that they weren't all kind of on top of each other. But certainly, we're grateful for our EMS workers, we're grateful for our police, and we're grateful for our Public Works Department. So, any other discussion on this? And we'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Any abstention? All right, so I'll get those proclamations out as well, so the public can see that as well, too.
Yep.
All right, so we'll move on to item 9, which is appointments to boards and commissions. I believe
We have nothing.
I have two.
okay.
At our meeting last week, and I have to say, this is great having these names and resignations on these agendas, because then now it's easy. Last week, we had a notation that Peter Falanda, an alternate on Park and Rec Commission, resigned. Tonight, I'm putting forward Kevin Backman to fill that vacancy as an alternate on Park and Rec. Do you want to vote on them separately or just as a group?
It doesn't matter. We can do separate. Why not separate?
All right, I'll second it.
Great. Any discussion?
Just nice to see Kevin going back on. He was, on the commission for years.
I
Yeah.
am glad to. I'm glad he changed his mind.
Yeah.
Oh, he stepped out. He was telling me about how well Easter Econ went. I said, oh, you were there? Oh, yeah, I was there.
Yeah, he never left.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so thanks to Kevin for coming back, so. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries unanimously.
And the second item, it's actually the resignations on our agenda this week. Ken Kearns has resigned, stepped away from Board of Assessment Appeals. And we're putting forward Chris Darby, who actually ran on during the last campaign for a seat on there, so it makes sense. He's excited to step in, so we're nominating Chris Darby as a full member of the Board of Assessment Appeals.
And I'll second that as well.
Great. We'll call for discussion. It's great to get Chris back as well.
Yeah.
He's been involved in the town in the past, and good to get him back on.
Yeah.
So, great. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, I think that's it for
Yep.
appointments.
That's it.
So we'll move on to refunds of excess payments.
I'll make a motion for the refund of excess payments for Phyllis R. and Joseph Marino for $7.
I'll second it. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Tradition, right?
No, you just, I wanted to make sure,
There you go, $7, it's important.
That's right.
And I'll just note, this is a correction.
Okay.
All right, so any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, great. We'll move on. We're blowing through the agenda tonight. We do have, next up is our status reports, status and committee reports. I want to make sure I have some updates for you on we have a lot of meetings coming up, and a lot of important stuff. First thing, I do want to say, we had a really nice ribbon cutting at the track last week. A lot of the selectmen here were there. Thank you all for those who could make it. I think it was great. It was great to see you. Coach
Yeah.
Pelton was there. And
And Coach Chaconis and Coach Liscombe were
Yeah,
there.
they were there too.
Yeah.
Coach Liscombe, I didn't recognize Liscombe at all.
yeah, it was a really nice turnout, really nice. So thank you, and thank you to this board and everybody who made that happen. Tom, you got a shout out as well, so thank you. All right, so I want to remind everyone that it is budget season. With everything going on, I feel like this year the budget is kind of getting lost in the weeds a little bit. Next week is our annual town meeting. It is going to be at 7 p.m. at Portland Middle School in the cafeteria. So mark your calendars. That is what day is that? May 6th. May 6th at 7 p.m. And then the following Monday is it's our referendum. And so that is going to be from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. The polls will be open. Again, 93 High Street. It's a smaller, typically election or referendum, so we will be voting in the middle school band room that day. So I hope everyone who's watching, and I hope to see you all at the polls. It's really important. And tell your friends, we want a high turnout. It's always great when we can get a high turnout for our referendums. All right, other things going on in town. I believe an email was sent out to this board and the Board of Education about, we had a special meeting, a joint meeting of the Board of Education and Board of Selectmen last week. Was it last week? Or the week? I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and at that meeting, Dr. Britton presented the plan of a consolidated school and what that would mean, and what it would look like, and what the financial implications would be to the town. And so I know this board and the Board of Education had to process it. There was so much information. I'm sure you guys have probably digested it a little bit by now. And so we're looking to schedule that meeting with the Board of Education so we can talk about next steps. See, I haven't spoken with anyone really on this, so I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts and where we're going to go on this. And so that meeting, I believe, is going to be on Tuesday, May 14th at 6:30 p.m. And I believe it's going to be in the media center of the Portland High School, in the library there. So we're going to get that agenda posted out. Just have to confirm that the Board of Ed is available and that works for them as well. Is there any problem with that date for this board, though? 6 o'clock? 6:30. And I want to make sure everyone's aware that the Brainerd Place project is back before Planning and Zoning. That is May 8th. The time, I think it's important to notice that the commission wanted to start earlier this time, and so the meeting's going to be at 6 p.m. on May 8th. So that's a week from tonight, May 8th at Portland High School, and it's at 6 p.m. So I think there's signs around town again, which is helpful, because we want people to go, and this is such a big project for the town, and it's important that the town plays a part in that role. So with that, I think those are all of my updates. So are there any other updates from the board?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I do have a couple, I'm sorry. I was just thinking about that. Is it a week from tonight or a week from tomorrow?
Tonight's Wednesday. It's
Right.
May 8th. It's a
Tuesday.
special.
It's a special one, so they're doing it on a Wednesday
They're
and not a
doing it
Thursday.
on a Wednesday to keep it separate from the regular planning and
Okay.
zoning.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm. All right. So yeah, apologies. Last meeting, because there was an accident that basically made me run in a little bit late. I didn't have all my notes, but did want to give updates on water and sewer as well as Parks and Rec meeting. With water and sewer, it was noted by the director, the GZA did perform a survey of the wetlands in March. That's required to make sure that we're maintaining distances, and they can make sure that we're not going to be impacting, in this case, Carr Brook. They've done that, and they've made those notes in the application for the well site suitability application was submitted on April 3rd. So that's in process. We already talked a little bit about Russell Ave and the fact that that was tied in. We were able to update that last week. The other one from water and sewer that's important is the work on clarifier number 2 was completed. That's the relining project and reworking the mechanicals. That was completed, and at the time of the meeting, they were basically looking forward to testing. And next up is to do clarifier number 1, which they anticipate less problems with, because they're not going to have to tent it the same way that they did to work on clarifier 2 over the winter. Parks and Rec, their Easter event, was very successful. They commented that they had about 350 people attend. One of the keynotes coming out of that is that they need more candy for next year. They are planning a fall festival. This would be done at the Riverfront Park following the Portland 5K. They're working with other groups, like other service groups in town, like the Brownstone Quorum, to put together some programming, et cetera. So you'll be hearing more of that. Right now, that everything there is scheduled for September 28th. Another item that I thought was interesting had to do with the Route 17, the recreational complex. Prina was approached by a resident who was looking to see about getting batting cages put in place. In this particular case, the plan that they were proposing would have required that all of the exercise equipment that is cemented in and all that be moved. The consensus of the commission is they did not want to look at doing any of that because of warranties, et cetera. But I expect that they may at some point be looking at is there another way to alternate, an alternative location for something like that going forward? And something we'll be, I'm sure, hearing more on, because it eventually would come here, was that they are working on a new field usage policy, and basically looking at a system that will address, making sure, for example, that, the in-town organizations, it creates a tiered system to make sure that whether you go from in-town, through out of town, and some of the graduations in between in terms of the types of groups, that there's appropriate usage being allocated. There was a kind of a robust discussion around that. There was some changes that were requested by members of the commission. I expect there'll be more to follow at the next PNR meeting. That's all I got.
And on that note, Jim, while you're talking, I had a couple more things. I found out, I believe that Oakwood Soccer has been sold, and they are no longer going to be needing the recreational complex Memorial Day weekend. We just found that out yesterday. So I think that's a change. I believe there's some members of the commission that may be surprised to hear that, so I just wanted to make that public now. And also, while we're talking about water, I think we're going to be inviting Rich DeRozier, our hydrogeologist with GZA, to our next Board of Selectmen meeting on May 15th to provide this board a full update on where we're at, what we're doing. I think we're at the point where we're talking next steps. Jim's been involved on the Water and Sewer Commission as a liaison, so you're in the know, but I want to make sure that the whole commission is aware, because we're kind of up against the clock a little bit on making sure that the goal, as you know, is to become water independent, and our contract with MDC is set to expire 2026, but they want to negotiate and begin negotiations on that contract this summer, 2024. And if we don't have that well in the ground, ready to go, we're not going to be in a strong bargaining position with MDC. And so we need to move quickly, and we need to find funds in order to move quickly. And so Ryan O'Halpin, our Public Works Director, will be here at our next meeting as well, and we'll talk with Rich about where we're at. I will say, I had just a nice meeting with Connecticut Water the other day. Ryan and I did, about some of what they're doing on, they call it Rivercrest in Portland, which is across from the Winchester Cafe. That area is called Rivercrest. And they found water as well. They found quite a bit of water over there. And so we just had a meeting to talk, see if maybe there was any shared interest on some things. So we'll see, we're just exploring. I just want you all to know that we are looking at every option and every funding option. We've applied for a number of the state drinking water revolving funds. I've been reaching out to our state senator, or state representative, to get on the bond commission. Hopefully we can get some bonding funds for this well. And also I've applied for some federal funds as well, at the federal level, through congressionally directed spending as well. So we're really trying to leave no stone unturned to figure out where we're going to get these funds for this. But you guys need to be aware of where we're at, and I'd like to get your collective thoughts on next steps and how we can move this along. And just to touch on 248 Brownstone Avenue, because I haven't talked about it, we're working, it's been busy we have a lot of things going on, but we need to get this RFP out, looking for a developer for 248 Brownstone Avenue. I met Ty and Bond out there last Friday. They, at no cost to the town, hired or allowed us to use their drone team, and they sent a drone team out and took some really stunning videos and footage of the property, and not just that property, but our new Nordic Spa facility, as well as some shots from the river, some shots of the quarry. So all of this we can use in the RFP. So I want to thank Ty and Bond for helping us with this. So we're just trying to market this, and they're actually going to be working with us on marketing this RFP as we look for a developer for this property. So they've been helpful. I just want to thank them for that. And also the Nordic Spa facility as well has I believe we are going to be having a groundbreaking on Quarry Day. And Quarry Day is Jim, you know, is it June 8th, is Quarry Day?
The event on there is June 8th.
June 8th. So Quarry Day is going to be on June 8th, and we will be having a groundbreaking on the Nordic Spa facility. So I believe the company is going to be flying in from Canada, many of the members of the company. So we're looking forward to that. And stay tuned, because they want to be open. They want this done by the fall of 2025. So they're looking to move really, really quickly on this project. So, all right.
And not that I wasn't listening, but as you're talking, I thought of something else I wanted to ask you. Well, yesterday evening, I guess, late afternoon evening, was the DOT presentation in Middletown. Did you hear anything, to think about how that went?
Sure. Yeah, I did. I talked with Johanna Bond this morning. We had a Middlesex Chamber of Commerce division meeting this morning. She filled me in. I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but I did go to the Middlesex Chamber Board of Directors meeting 2 weeks ago. And DOT was there, and this is a tough group of people that are skeptical. I've told you some of my concerns with the removal of the lights on Route 9. Obviously, safety is a priority. Everyone wants to make sure that our motorists are safer. But if it's going to hinder ease and access into Portland and there for East Hampton, that's a problem. And so I've been working with Johanna Bond, and I want to thank her and the Middlesex Chamber for coordinating these meetings with Mayor Ben Florsheim in Middletown, myself, and Tony, the town manager in Cromwell, as well as David Cox in East Hampton. So we've all been having many meetings about this, and I got to say, I want to thank DOT, because I think they finally started to listen to us, listen to our concerns, and I'm feeling better about the project. I have traffic numbers that I can share with you on what this would mean when it's completed. Just so you know, if it does go through, it wouldn't start till 2027, and it's a 4-year program, and so we're talking 2031 when this whole project.
Is it still bringing northbound Route 9 traffic through Main Street, Middletown to get to the bridge?
So that's really nice. So I'm glad you asked, because at first, when we first met with DOT, the first thing that they said to us was, okay, we're going to allow cars there's going to be a turnoff at River Bend Road, and there's going to be a rotary there, or not, you can't say rotary, I'm sorry, it's a roundabout. That's the proper terminology. Rotary is not a good word apparently these days. So it's a roundabout there, and then it's going to put you onto DeKalb, and you could get to Main Street, Middletown, you could go down DeKalb and then onto Rapallo, and then onto Main Street, and then over the bridge. Or, DOT said, or you could go up past all this and then turn around at the first Cromwell exit. But they weren't going to do anything at the Cromwell exit. And they said, and I asked them, how do we know which way to go? And they said, your GPS will tell you what the fastest way is. And I had some real concerns over that DOT didn't even know which way the traffic should flow. And so since that time, they heard our concerns, and what they've done is a few things. Because I know the businesses on Main Street, Middletown, were very concerned that we were going to have tractor trailers on Main Street, Middletown. It's not pedestrian friendly with all that. You have all the businesses that are trying to have parking available so people can visit Main Street, Middletown. And then you have emergency vehicles that have to get by, have to get to Portland. And if it's all congested, that's going to put our residents in jeopardy. And so the state did hear us on this. What they've done since then is they've made DeKalb Ave the real true way to get here. They've turned Rapallo Avenue into a one-way, allowing a dedicated right-hand turn lane, and which is going to free up, I think it's going to help with traffic. I'm also asking.
But is there still a light at St. John's?
The light at St. John's will be there. However, what DOT is telling us is that they can now time that light. They can put that in sync with the other lights, with the Washington Street light as well, and that's going to help traffic quite a bit. There's going to be a light still there, but it's going to flow much better, is what they're telling us. They're also putting a roundabout in Cromwell as well, and that's where they're pushing the tractor trailers. So all the tractor trailers are not going to be on DeKalb, and they're not going to be on Main Street, Middletown. They're going to be going up past all this, and then going around the roundabout, and then coming back down south.
By Daniel's Gas, right?
By Daniel's Gas.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you know, DOT for listening to us on that. And they're also going to have a sign when you come up Route 9. It's going to have all three ways, and it's going to tell you which is the quickest way for the average motorist as well. So these are all things that they've been working on. It's not perfect. I mean, there's no perfect solution for this, and so we know that, and the board of directors for the Middlesex Chamber voted unanimously in accepting DOT's proposal. So I think that's a good sign that business leaders are actually approving of this. I know this is the third or fourth iteration of this plan. We've been talking about this plan since, I think, like 2002. It's been going on for a very long time, and there's a lot of people that believe this is going to be the one that actually gets done and goes through. So there's more to come on it, but I think they are addressing concerns. Do you have any other questions? Because these are all great questions.
No, that was, I was just curious. My understanding is the northbound traveler is actually gonna be better off. You won't hit that stoplight at the train overpass. At that point, you'll go right straight through, under the underpass, and onto Route 9. And the same for people coming southbound of Route 9. If we're coming up from Hartford, then you'll hit that underpass and come right up. It was just that northbound travel on Route 9 that was still the sticking point.
Correct.
It sounds like they're willing to listen. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I think, and what they've done with DeKoven Drive is they have the light, there's still gonna be a light at the corner of DeKoven and Washington Street. That light still is going to be there, but the traffic is going to be so much less there that the light's not gonna be too bad is what they're telling us. So, stay tuned, but the plans are out there and things are looking more favorable on this.
Thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. All right, so that was the status reports. We'll move on to public comment. All right, is there anyone online who wishes to comment? Okay. So with that, we'll move on to Board of Selectmen, general informal discussion. Does anyone have anything this evening?
I just have two quick things. With regards to the track, we had our first home meet for the middle school track kids today. They did quite well. Everything went smoothly, so it was nice to be on the track there, so that was great. Second thing related to track is we're doing a fundraiser for the track June 1st and 2nd. It'll be a 24-hour run-a-thon. The dates are locked in. We'll have details to follow, but there'll be a lot more information available starting tomorrow, both online and Facebook and whatnot. So that's going to happen June 1st and 2nd.
Every selectman's doing
A couple laps, and
or-
anyone in Portland, runners, parents of runners, or grandmother, they're all welcome to come out and run. So,
Yeah, maybe even finance directors? What do you think?
especially finance directors.
All right, thank you, Mike, that's great. Any other general informal
No.
discussion items? All right, so we'll move on to follow-up items. I don't have anything on the charter or the ethics ordinance this evening, so I will entertain a
I
motion.
make a motion, we
I'll second
adjourn.
that.
All right, thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, have a good night, everyone, thank you.